supporting you in your dog parenting journey. The Dynamic Dog Owner with Debbie Potter.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Dynamic Dog Owner, the podcast designed to support you, the dog parent, in your dog parenting journey. Today we're going to talk about something I see a lot. And it's not a bad thing. It's an observation. And it's just my thought on a topic, because that's what the podcast's all about at the end of the day. It's me just blurting and basically having a little bit of a brain dump. I often think it's a bit like just performing a monologue, sit and chat to you all for a bit to the void. I hope someone listens and appreciates it. Podcast is weird because you don't get a lot of interaction. You pop a post on social media and you get people commenting their thoughts. The podcast, you don't. You don't get a lot of direct feedback. And it's really weird because I don't know what you guys think. So do give me your feedback. If you like episodes, please tell me. If there's episodes you go, I didn't like that one little bit, that was a waste of time, tell me. I want to make the podcast as beneficial to you guys as possible. So let me know your thoughts and feedback. Excuse me. Of course, don't forget, this podcast is about supporting you, the dog parent. It's not about training dogs and how to train dogs. It's about the human side and how we influence training. If you want to look at actual training skills, of course, if you're local to us, Buckinghamshire, UK, then do get in touch. We will have something group one-to-one training option for you. But if you are a little bit further afield, check out the Academy. There's a link in the description to the podcast that gives you access for a free 3-day trial. That's always a bit of a tongue twister. So you can click the button, have 3 days access to all the training videos. And if you want to continue, then you can have access to that for as long as you want it to. All the videos on there, you can comment, you can chat with me. We have live Q&A. And it's the how-to of dog training rather than the human side like we talked about on the podcast. Anyway, so let's get back. It was a little digress, wasn't it? Let's get back to the topic in hand. Something I have witnessed a lot in the last few months. And it's not a bad thing. It's by no means a bad thing. It's just an observation I think is useful to share. So my observation is that there is a huge shift in dogs. Some dogs, not all dogs, some dogs who kind of go from a thinking focused training mindset to a impulsive, I am not able to act on my own emotions mindset. And I think this affects training quite a lot because we focus, obviously, as training dogs, we focus on teaching them what to do, how to do it. And that's obviously the end of the game. But emotions play, I think, a bigger part in dog training than actual trained skill. They go hand in hand, obviously, but you can train as much as you like, as hard as you like, for as long as you like. But if the emotions take over, the impulsivity of life takes over, if your dog can't free think, everything falls down, quite simply. Because we can't be one step ahead of them all the time. And a lot of training styles I see, and this again, it's not a bad thing, this is an observation. I'm not criticising anybody because that's never what we're about. This is an observation I see. We can train a skill beautifully. And whether that be heel work, whether that be tricks, whether that be whatever it may be, any skill. But for example, let's talk about something like heel work that's practical, you use it out and about potentially. We can train it, they can do it beautifully. As long as we are inputting, as long as we are there, asking them to heel, telling them to heel, feeding them treats. And then as soon as we stop, they go, well, you haven't told me what to do, so I don't know what to do. And the second they're free to think, they can't make choice for themselves. And I think this is kind of one of the biggest, I don't know what to call it, but challenges, faux pas, I don't know. It's one of the biggest things I think we almost do to hold dogs back. We don't let them think. We don't let them come to their own thoughts, their own choices, and teach them the consequence of action almost. Because again, we can ask them to do all this stuff, great, but when they have to think for themselves, they fall down. They can't do it. A few examples, okay? And again, this is just generalized because I see a lot of dogs in a week. This is just general. You've got the dogs who can heel work beautifully, can do trained skills beautifully. So for example, they can do sit stays because you've asked them to do it. They can sit while you go and place a ball, and then tell them they can go and have it. They can heel nicely because you're constantly reinforcing it. You're telling them, you're giving them instruction. Do this, do that, do this. And they can do it all. But on the flip side, they run over to other dogs. They see a ball on the ground or a toy and they can't ignore it. They don't have any self-control over it. And they go and grab it, they pick it up. And they're like, hey, I've got a ball, whatever. They lunge towards other dogs. They are off lead and can't make choice to ignore other dogs because no one's telling them what to do. And they go, well, if you're not telling me, I'll just do what I think works, because there's not a structure. I think as people, some people we can rely on the structure of this is an exercise, this is how I practice it, this is the X, Y, Zs. Dogs we know are very contextual, where they go, right, in this scenario, in this environment, I can do it. But the second we're not in that context and there's not that structure and instructions and rules, they go, dunno. And they are feral, effectively. They just go off doing their own thing, ignoring their human, making bad choices, often because I think we don't let them. You've got the flip side of it. You've got dogs who are frustrated because they aren't told. So, classic of saying hello to other dogs. Dogs on a lead, and they want to go and say hello to other dogs. They get frustrated. As soon as you ask them to ignore the other dog, they go, oh yeah, of course I can do that. Because you ask them to heal, you ask them to refocus on you. But without your input, they can't do it. So they rely on you to tell them to leave the other dog, to come here, to whatever. Without that instruction, they don't know to just go, hey, there's a dog, I'll just ignore it and mosey on by, because they haven't been told to. So I think we can be, people in general, I think we can be quite hot on instruction. It's something I hear a lot in classes. Commands. I hate the word command. I think way, way, way back on the podcast, there is an episode, Cue or Command. I'm sure there is. We've done so many episodes, I can't remember, but I'm 99% sure at the very, very beginning, there's an episode called Cue versus Command. It's basically explaining the difference. Go check that episode out. But it's basically it. People want to command their dog. I give you an instruction, I expect you to obey. I personally see it as a request. I'm asking you to do that thing I know you know to do. Can you do it, please? Rather than you must obey me. And people like to command their dog and tell them what to do and tell them how to behave, which is great. But then when you're not one step ahead, they can't do it. So it comes down to, then you've got these situations of you're always trying to find things before then. So dogs who are reactive, you're walking around scouring the environment going, and obviously I'm not guilty of this stuff, FYI, because of course I have a reactive dog and I will look around and scan the environment, of course, but only so that I can help him make good choices, not to tell him what to do, if that makes sense. So go back to it. You've got people who are walking on the reactive dogs, they're scouring the environment, they're trying to spot things before their dog, and as soon as they spot something, the human spots it, they recall their dog. Or they call their dog, they tell their dog to do something. Their dog, yes, then listens because they've been asked to do something, but not because they've got the good emotion around a dog. So if you don't see it first, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle that situation. And then you've got the dogs. What happens, I've seen it so many times, is that you're walking your dog, it's reactive or whatever, you see another dog, you call them and they go, where's the dog? Because you only recall them when they see another dog. They then see the cue of come here as there must be a distraction for me to look at her, because we're quite rigid at that. Whereas if you free think and you let your dog, obviously we don't just put them in situations where they can't cope, but we let them come to their own conclusion of finding something in their environment, teach them how, create a new association for them of how to behave without us saying anything. They then learn to just go, there's a dog, whatever, and carry on doing what they were doing. It's one of the things I'm really hot on, especially with sort of emotions, reactivity, because we do a lot of reactivity training, is dogs making choice themselves, so that you don't have to always be one step ahead. You don't always have to see things before them, and you don't have to tell them how to behave. They just learn to do it themselves, to listen to their bodies and independently think. I personally think it's way more successful, because then you've also got the dogs who have better self-control, can see something distracting and go, should I, shouldn't I? And weigh up a situation and make good choice, because you've allowed them to have the time to think and make a choice. It's no different to kids, to people. If you've got a parent, hypothetically speaking, you've got a parent who is like, you must do this at this time, you must do that at that time, you have to be back by 10 o'clock, you're not allowed to do this, you must do this. What do children do? Let's be on. When they get to 18, they are literally the most rebellious kids in the world, because they've never had any freedom. And they've always been told by their parents, you must do this, you must do that, you must do the other. They get to 18, they're out all night binge drinking, not doing the dishes, do whatever they like, eating takeaways, whatever, because they're like, no one's telling me not to. You've then got parents who are like, yeah, that's fine. What alcohol do you want? Just let me know where you're going, when you're going to be back. It's up to you. Make this choice if you want, but these are the consequences. Up to you. It's quite free thinking. I must say that was the parenting style my parents gave me. It was, make good choices. I'll advise you. I'll tell you what time I'd like you to be home. If it's going to be different, let me know. And you can do what you want to do. Just tell me where you're going, who you're going with, what time you're going to be back, and don't do anything stupid. Was basically, my parents were very good. And what it meant is, yes, of course, I made a few mistakes, but it's through my own choices that I made the mistakes. And I didn't feel like I was breaking rules. I went, hey guys, I've probably done something a bit silly, or sorry, I got a bit drunk tonight, or whatever. I was able to make that choice for myself, which meant I wasn't rebellious. At no point was I rebellious, I don't think. They might disagree listening. Well, my dad can't listen to this, but my mother might listen to this and go, what's she talking about? She was rebellious, she was terrible. But I don't think I was, because I was given a lot of freedom to make my choices, make some mistakes, but I knew that my parents were there to have my back. So whether that's a good analogy or not, I don't know. But I just, binge drinking, I always think is a classic, because in our country, it's like you must never drink alcohol till you're 18. On the continent, you've got kids drinking alcohol from a young age. They don't have binge drinking issues because it's not a thing, because there are the strict rules that people then want to break. And it kind of is similar with your dogs, that if there's this instruction, this control of you must do this, you must do that, you must do this, you must do that, when those suddenly not there, they don't know how to think. So I think what we need to be aware of is that there is this shift, and giving dogs the skills to use for themselves, to make good choices for themselves, to make good decisions, and to have the confidence that they can make good decisions, I think is one of the most important parts of training. That we are not micromanaging situations to always tell them what to do, how to do it, because it helps so much. Because then what I find is, you've got the dogs who, the second you open a treat pouch, they are by your side, or the second you've got your treat pouch on even, they are by your side beautifully, looking up at you, going, yes, what do you want me to do? I'm perfect. And then suddenly see a dog and be like, oh my God, no, and off. Because they switch into that kind of like, I am training mode really quickly, and then don't know how to think if they're not in the training mode. It's almost like their brain flips a switch and goes, oh, must walk nicely, must behave, well done me. And then that ends and they're like, oh, what do I do now? And I see this quite a lot, like multiple times in a week. And it's not a bad thing. It's great that dogs can be that focus. But I think we just need to remember that for everything we train, we need to also look at their emotions and their free thinking to make sure that they can act independently and they're not relying on us too much. Obviously, we want them to rely on us. They're our pets. We like them. We want to have that relation, that bond. But I think it's the relying on us to be there, to support them, to have their back, to give them a little bit of guidance if they need it, rather than to tell them exactly what to do, when to do, how to do it. And And like a classic with this, let's just look at an example. And it's something I do with reactivity training with my own dog, is I don't tell him what I want him to do when he sees a dog, because he's not at that level yet. He sees a dog, and all I do is interrupt his thought process by creating rewards, creating distraction that isn't a distraction in terms of walk past the dog, here's loads of treats. It's see the dog, here's something to get your attention, to help divert his attention naturally and him choose to carry on doing what he was doing, rather than me going, there's a dog, here's 1,000 treats. Because then he just goes, see a dog, focus on mum, rather than I see a dog, oh look, and then can carry on doing what I was doing. So I don't know if this is helpful. Tell me, please. It's just an observation I had and I thought it was interesting to talk about. The shift between thinking, training, focus, doing as I'm told, and free thinking. Do you see it in your own dogs? Do you see times when they are totally switched on, oblivious to their environment, and then all of a sudden see something and like, doing? You see it with recall quite a lot. My dog can recall perfectly, do all this stuff, until they see a dog and the emotion takes over. Then when there's that thing, I just don't know what to do because I'm not allowed to free think. Or I haven't been taught how to free think. So yeah, let me know. Do you see this ever? Do you see your dog suddenly flip into, I am in training mode, I will behave perfectly, and then struggle when they are free to think and you haven't asked them to do anything? You might not, because it doesn't apply to everybody. Every dog's different, every relationship is different. But I see it quite a lot, especially with your teenage dogs, when they are naturally at an age and stage where their impulsive actions are worse, where their brain thinks in an impulsive manner. I see it quite a lot. They go, oh, you must train, and then, oh, I'm off. Hence, I work a lot on the emotions. It's one of the things I work on a lot with my own dogs. Just make good choices. So hopefully this has been a helpful episode. Hopefully you found it useful. It's just an idea that's out there. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just an observation. So if you do have any comments, let me know. If not, have a wonderful week and I'll catch up with you really soon. If you love listening to the podcast, why not check out the Potter Academy for practical dog training advice and how-to videos. The hub is broken down into sections and hundreds of pre-recorded videos are there for you to start watching whenever you choose. You can watch them back as many times as you like. You also get to talk to other community members and discuss your training and benefit from live Q&As with myself where you can get your questions answered. Why not make use of our 3-day free trial where you can access all of the content on the hub absolutely free for 3 days. The link is in the description below, so do check that out. And I can't wait to see you in the hub.
Thank you for listening to The Dynamic Dog Owner with me, Debbie Potter. See you next time.